Hi there, if you want to learn how to create sound effects, then you are in the right place. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can position any sound effect in a 3D space, in a 3D environment. All right, so here we are inside of Reaper, and I have this little video game play clip from Destiny 2, so let's just have a listen here. Actually, let's just have a look at it, no sound, just so we see what we're doing. Right, and the sound that we want to position in this little gameplay environment here is the grenade that gets thrown and explodes in the distance. Right there. So what I did here is I layered two explosion sounds from my explosion sound pack just to replicate that grenade explosion sound. So let's have a listen here. Right, so we have this here and this one. Right, so this one's more like a punchy, crunchy layer that feels like really close to you in your face, and then this other one feels more like a large tail sound that feels kind of distant. All right, together we have this. All right, but with this sound, it sounds good, it sounds okay, but it does feel like it's very in your face. So what can we do to position this more in a stereo field? So the first thing that you can do is take something like recenter. It doesn't have to be recenter, but something that can control the width of your sound. So inside of recenter here, I can control how wide my explosion is going to be. So if I reset it to the default here, right, that could be like that. I can make it really, really wide, right? Or I can really bring it in so it's quite narrow. Right, and that's what I want. So I want a plugin that can either make a sound wide or narrow. In this instance, we want to make it narrow. Generally, sound effects, you'll want them to be mono. In this case, this explosion sound is quite stereo, so I'm bringing it in so it's pretty much mono, so I can pinpoint it into the exact position that I want it in the stereo field. Now, the next reason why I personally like to use recenter is because once I have this kind of narrowed in, then I can use the angle here to position it where I want it, so right where the explosion happens. So right now, it's a little bit on the right here. But if we needed to, I could go all the way to right, or all the way to the left. And then with recenter, if there's any kind of variation in the stereo, like if any sound is moving left to right in the stereo as it's happening, it's going to keep it centered, right? It's going to keep it positioned. That's what recenter does. If you don't have recenter, if you don't have this plugin, you can just use something like the pan here. Let's position it here to the right. Right, so you can hear it getting panned to the right or left here just with my channel pan. But of course, you hear the issues, which is still that you need something to bring in the width. All right, if you don't have recenter, what you can use inside of Reaper here is the stereo field manipulator. So here you can bring the width all the way down to 0 or just a little bit, so it's a bit wider. And then we have something like this. Right, so it brings in the width, and then you can position it with a pan knob here. Right, but for us, we want it to be kind of centered. For the sake of ease, I like to use recenter because everything's kind of built into here. So I'm just going to keep it the way I had it like this. Now let's keep going. So that's the first thing. You want to bring in the width and then position it in the stereo field using pan. Then once you have that, the next thing that you can do here is you'll want to control the volume. So obviously, because it's a bit more distant, it's not going to sound as loud as if it was right in front of you. So I'm going to load up a gain plugin here. And this is just the Kilohertz gain plugin, and you can load any, obviously. And let's have a listen. So let's bring it down here. Right, just this, it already makes a big difference. It already feels like it's a bit distant. Right, and that's perfect. So this is what we have now. So we started off with this. Now we are at this. All right, so the next thing that you'll want to do is position the sound in the environment. So to do that, you'll want some sort of reverb. Usually convolution reverb works pretty well because you can get the sounds of different spaces. So here I have loaded up here Stratus 3D, and I have an exterior preset, high exterior wall preset. So let's have a listen to that, just going through that. Right, it's not very loud, but if I bring up the gain here, just so we can hear it a bit better. Right, so that's the sound of it there. So now if we play it all together, right, you have the sound of the reflection of the explosions reflecting off the wall there. All right, so this is a quick and easy way to do it. 3 steps here. Number 1, go mono or like very narrow. Number 2, play with the volume. Number 3, put it in the environment using reverb. Now, there's other ways that you can do this. So let's kind of restart here. Let's go backwards a little bit, and let me show you a different way that you can do this. So let's go back to our sound here. So we're going to start with this same first step here. I'm going to load the recenter again. Keep it narrow and position it exactly where we want. All right, and the next thing we can do here is to play, instead of playing directly with the volume here, is inside of each of the layers, we can play with the volume of the frequencies. So the further away a sound is, the less loud the higher frequencies are, right? So usually you'll hear just more of the bass, of the sub, because those tend to travel further. So here what I can do is I can cut out all of those high frequencies to mimic that distance. Right? It doesn't do too much. It's a bit subtle, but it works. Okay, next here I had included here a stereo lab, just to make the tail really wide. Honestly, we don't really need that, so I'm going to leave that off. And another thing that you could do if you wanted to mimic this, the space that it's in here, is to add a delay. So I put that in there. You don't need it. It's just an extra thing if you ever want to play around with a space where there's a lot of echo and stuff. Add a delay. That can help. Okay, so that's why those are in there. But just having the EQ there to cut off the highs will help. Now, same thing with this one here. Right, this feels really, really close to you. So again, I'm going to cut out a lot of those highs. So it's going to feel a lot further away. Let's even bring it down a bit more here. Perfect. And the other thing I have here is Soothe 2, and this is probably just to control a little bit of resonance here in the middle. That. Right? There's like this metallic resonance, so with this on, just helps to control it. All right, so this is what we have so far. And next what we can do here is a plugin that I also like to use to kind of push things back is proximity EQ here. So what this will do here is make sounds feel further away. So if we play it now. Right, so if I play with a different one here, let's do this here. Right, you can make things sound really far away. Or just a bit closer. Right, once you have it dialed in the way you want, then you can go back here, again, put it through some sort of convolution reverb in a space here. And maybe I'll bring this volume down a bit. Maybe this is a bit too much here with the proximity EQ, so I'm going to reset some of these here. So I like that there. I'm going to increase the volume. So I like the volume here of the reverb. Again, the same thing here with the reverb. You'll probably want to cut out some of the highs because it's a bit more distant. You don't want it to resonate so high. Right? You don't want those high frequencies as part of the reverb. For now, let's keep it like that. And there you go. You have a different kind of distant explosion shot. So there you go. Two different ways that you can approach placing sounds in an environment in a space to make it feel like it's distance and like it's distant from you or from the player, and like it fits in the environment that it's in. All right, so I hope you found that useful and valuable in seeing how you can position a sound in an environment, in a real situation, and the different moves and things that you can tweak to make it fit in with the game environment. So yeah, if you have any comments, questions, leave it down below. And if you want to see another video where I actually show how to create some of these like explosion sounds, I'll have that on the screen right now. And I think that's it for now. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.